Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Ja.
Hello and welcome to Focus on Liberia. This is your favorite show, Roundtable Africa, and I am Sekou Kele, your host. We are discussing here today Roundtable Africa and news that make headlines across the continent of Africa. Edward, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you very much, Kelly. And I also wish to express my greatest appreciation to all our wider listeners across the continent of Africa who have been religiously listening and are perfectly contributing to this program. Welcome, and we hope to have a fruitful discussion today again.
Yes. So in today's edition, we will discuss 5 different topics, news that made headlines across the continent. The first one we'll be discussing is Burkina Faso coup, who is the new leader, Ibrahim Traoré. So stay tuned, you will be hearing details from us. And Liberia sees 100 million cocaine, haul and arrest 3. We'll be dealing with that as well. Then next is Ukraine foreign minister begin Africa tour in Senegal. What are the implications? Last but not the least, Malian prime minister lashes out at France, UN, ECOWAS at the 77 UN General Assembly. So these are the various news headlines that we'll be discussing here today. Edward Amara, what do you have to say about these various headlines?
Well, to be honest, the headlines are absolutely interesting to discuss, but not too good for the unity, development, progress, and sanity of Africa. I may say they are good in terms of discussing news because as journalists, we believe in breaking news, but the type of news that normally emanate on Africa are definitely not encouraging for a continent that is in dire need of unity, peace, and progress. It's definitely not interesting. But on the side of the news, I think they are very interesting.
Okay. So let's take the first one here, Edward. Burkina Faso. A few days ago, we woke up in the morning and then we heard that at Damiba, the guy who did the coup in Burkina Faso just 9 months or 8 months ago has been deposed by another captain, Ibrahim Traoré. This making the 8th coup in the history of Burkina Faso. So people are wondering what happened. We just have the military said they removed the civilian government 8 months ago because the government was not doing enough to secure the country that has been attacked by terrorists. The military government came in 8 months and then they were doing what they had to do. Then another group of juntas come and said no, that the guy wasn't doing it properly. And this time, Captain Ibrahim Traoré believed that he is the right man for the job. What's happening in Burkina Faso, Edward?
Well, it's very interesting. I think since the fall of Thomas Sankara, we had a very strong man who came and took over, that is Blaise Compaoré. But Thomas Sankara did not fall, rather he was assassinated. And we have Blaise Compaoré who took over. He ruled the country for quite a long time with a lot of oppression over 27 good years. He failed to make sustainable development, because when you develop a country outside the shackles of democracy, there's a high possibility that whatsoever development that you may ginger during your regime, they are liable to fall, because disgruntled citizens who think and feel that they are not part and parcel of the system may one day rise against that particular system and relate to fall. That was how Kabore came in. Kabore was another very strong leader. Maybe just after the fall of Blaise Compaoré, we thought that he could have been the one that which definitely solidify Burkina Faso, maybe seek for progress and whatsoever thing. Then he thought that, okay, this could be the dream of Thomas Sankara coming back into. Unfortunately, he made a system where we have underdevelopment in the Sahel region. You see the rise of Islamic, or let me say jihadism or terrorism into in the sub-Saharan region. And Kabori could not last for quite a long time. Demonstration, fallout with France, maybe Russia, inflation, a fallout within the international connection, like his policy with Russia, his policy with France, fallout with all of these foreign powers. It led to a sudden overthrow, so Damiba coming in. Damiba say he came in to ensure that there is stability into Burkina Faso, terrorism is being put to an end, and the country need to develop. He came with bigger dreams. So I mean, one of the widest dreams that any military leader could come in, and everybody was clapping hands for him because, in short, everybody would tell you that nobody cares who lead Burkina Faso. The most important thing, there should be peace, there should be unity, and people should sleep with their two eyes closed. Unfortunately, Damiba was being accused of ineffectiveness, his failure to put down the jihadist movement. Less than 9 months, or let me just say arguably 9 months, we saw another person coming by the name of Captain Ibrahim Traore, maybe relatively younger than all of the other leaders that took over power. 1984 was Damiba, 1981 was what? Mamadi Doumbouya, 1983 is Gyota. He came in now in 1988, born 34 years old. He took over power. Maybe a shy boy. We were talking about this. These are some of the things before coming to his profile. I think the failure of Burkina Faso to deliver the dress, especially everybody's just blaming one another for the insecurity, the rise of. In fact, Burkina Faso now is one of the worst in the sub-region. In fact, Mali now is arguably a little bit stable than Burkina Faso because we have seen demonstration, we are seeing rise of jihadist attack, we are seeing instability of government, and we are seeing a total fall in the religious aspect. So whatsoever thing. So far, so good. The failure of government to keep up the social promise to people and the rise of Islamic, failure of a high illiteracy level. You talk about then the rise of unemployment led to the overthrow of Damiba, especially when the main message he came in that I'm going to ensure that I stop the progress of jihadism is ISIL or the movement of Islamic. Unfortunately, it grew to a hyper level, a fallout demonstration, so that led to his overthrow.
Yeah, but okay, Edward, that's a good point. But there's a debate out there. While preparing for this program, I did some research, and the people of Burkina Faso, the young people that came on the street to celebrate this coup, they were having Russian flags. They were celebrating, and they came out with Russian flag and celebrating. And people are wondering, why is it that there is a coup in Burkina Faso and the people come out on the street with a flag of Russia? What is going on? So, well, from what I gathered, is that there are two schools of thought in the military in Burkina Faso. There is the Sankara Pan-African wing of the army, and there is the Western pro-France wing of the army. So according to information, that the group that overthrew President Christian Marc Kabore 9 months ago, they agreed to partner with Russia to fight the insurgency because they believe that France has been compromised and France is playing a double game with the terrorists. That it's been years now since almost a decade since they decided to form Operation Barkhane to oust the terrorists in the Sahel region. But somehow the terrorists are gaining ground despite the French military equipment in that area, despite the French arsenal, military arsenal that they have placed in that place. The terrorists continue to operate. So the people are saying it seems like France is playing a double game to just steal the natural resources and continue to encourage the rebel to attack. So they want Russia to be the new partner in the country. So, but when this guy came in, Damiba, who became the head of the new military leader after the overthrow of the civilian government, he betrayed the trust of the Sankara Pan-African group of the army. he decided to join with the pro-France group. You see, so that's why he was ousted. And this new guy that comes from the Sankara school of thought, which is anti-Western Western partnership, and they want to partner with Russia just like Mali have done. What do you say to that?
Well, yeah, I would have come there to that particular point. I think this is something that have been emphatically discussed among the Burkinabés. That is why they are saying they are not too much interested on who is leading Burkina Faso, rather who can actually put a stop, who can rubber stamp the activities of the so-called jihadist movement. As you rightly stated, when Damiba took over from Kabori, we had and witnessed on television pro-Russian coming to demonstrate or to bring a kind of demonstration in favor of Russia, coming with Russia flag. So it was expected that the relationship that France had with Burkina Faso should be exterminated. And as long as that relationship should be terminated, then Burkina Faso should have nothing to do with Russia. In essence, yeah, their relationship or the long-term relationship that France had with Russia, with Burkina Faso, led to the instability, creation of long-term dictators, and even led to the rise of jihadism into this particular area. So everybody had that dream. That was why pro-protesters for Russia, we are within the crowd that welcomed Damiba when he overthrew Kabori. And everybody was just expecting that definitely France should not have anything. And we all saw how popular them. In fact, French anti-protest led to the outstate of Kabori. So nobody expected Damiba to become more friendly or to make France have any other influence on Burkina Faso. Unfortunately, maybe what they demonstrated for never came into appearance. So even the army felt betrayed because any one of them could easily be killed as long as Kabori Damiba kept his relationship with France, and France knows those who are within Burkina Faso that do not favor their regime, those who have the ideology, those who have been philosophized by the Thomas Sankara mentality. They knew exactly Thomas Sankara was a socialist. He never experienced or was not even willing to embrace anything like what the liberal democracy or whatsoever thing that France is preaching today. So having realized all of those things, that then unfortunately Damiba betrayed them, and he continued a perpetual relationship with France, led to him being overthrown, led to his weakness into the fight against jihadism, and they knew exactly that. Look at what he started doing. He even went and made relationship with, in fact, nobody expected that the man whom was being overthrown, he now later on now you saw Blaise Compaoré coming into the panel of table to form a government of national unity. How can you form a government of national unity? How can you regard Blaise Compaoré to be a statesman after 27 good years of humiliation, killing and whatsoever thing? So most of those who he's brought on the panel is a clear indication that the man is a betrayer, because everybody thought that Blaise Compaoré should have been prosecuted, but instead he asked for forgiveness and brought this man. And mind you, another important thing again in the Damiba history could be remembered. Damiba was the head of security guard under Blaise Compaoré. So for 27 good years, all of those heinous crimes that Blaise Compaoré committed in Burkina Faso must have been associated, if not he played key part into those crimes. So he knew exactly what it means to prosecute his overlord. So most of those things, when you are seeing, he was deeply yoked, he was not disconnected with everything that happened. He still maintained his relationship with France. So everybody thought that this man was a very big, good betrayer, and he shouldn't be encouraged to continue his leadership.
Definitely, I agree with you. I know my take here is that Damiba was another traitor. A traitor in Africa. Some of these traitors, they always find their way into power. And when they get into power, they frustrate the dream and the aspiration of the people. Because people have to understand, leadership is about carrying and implementing programs. It's about signing social contract. It's about delivering the dream and the aspiration of the people. You cannot be contradicting the dream and the aspiration of the people and continue to lead them. This contradiction is what we continue to suffer in Africa. The people have one dream and one vision. The leader have an opposite dream and opposite vision. And you expect an ideology to be able to coexist. No, the people will be able, they will remove you. If they cannot remove you by popular protest, they will inspire the army to kick you out. So leaders should always know what their people are thinking. What's the dream of the people? That's why in America, their democratic system, the media always put out what they call polls, popular opinions. What's the rating of this president? What is the opinion of the citizen on abortion? What is the opinion of the citizen on this foreign policy? You have to know what the citizens think. A majority of the citizens are thinking on the right direction. You know that if you go on the left, you are playing in dangerous waters. African leaders don't understand that. Damiba, you came into power. The people said they do not want cooperation with France. They believe that France killed their beloved president, Blaise Compaoré, Thomas Sankara, and they are not happy about that. They believe that France kept Blaise Compaoré into power for over 20 years as a dictator. They believe that France is collaborating and colluding with jihadists in the Sahel. They believe that France bombarded Gaddafi and rendered North Africa vulnerable. That's why the terrorists today have, that part of the world has become a breeding ground for terrorists. So they believe that France foreign policy is exploitative and they don't want France. And you come into power, you know that is the majority view in the country, then you betray that. What do? You go align yourself with Alassane Ouattara, the governor of France in Ivory Coast. You align yourself with Ouattara. What do? You find yourself in Mali, not to go cooperate with Assimi Goïta, but to go negotiate for the 49 Ivorian soldiers that have been kept there, have been arrested as mercenaries. You go negotiate for their release. Playing politics as a military leader. Military leaders are not politicians. Politicians cut deals. Politicians negotiate. Politicians play with diplomacy. Military leaders are revolutionaries. They are not negotiators. They are revolutionary, and he should have seen himself as a revolutionary and not a politician. Blaise Compaoré was sentenced by the court. He's sentenced to life. And you go bring the same Blaise Compaoré in the country to say you are looking for reconciliation. The reason you were put there was to end the jihadist movement and then bring the country to the Sankara philosophy. And then you now go bring Blaise Compaoré, who was convicted for killing Sankara, bring him back to the country. So the people already were angry and they wanted this guy out. That's why the coup d'etat of Ibrahim Traoré was celebrated. I believe that Damiba was a traitor. In fact, when the coup happened that night, he escaped to Togo. Guess how he escaped? It was the French that helped him out of the country. And when he went to Togo, the condition he gave for his resignation is that the current administration have to follow everything that he left. They have to agree to ECOWAS date to set up an election. They have to agree with all the cooperation that he left. To tell you that he was a man sent on a mission for France. He was not in the interest of the Burkina Faso people. Edward, that's my take.
Yeah, you are perfectly right. I think when France realized that the masses are exhausted with Kabori because of the failure, I think maybe they just use Damiba to come in, and he came in, he betrayed the entire system. Maybe this guy was a very big traitor, and I think he needs to be investigated and placed on the Blaise Compaoré list, because he's one of the huge players. He was a key actor into the Blaise Compaoré regime. Last
question on this topic, Edward. Who is Ibrahim Traoré, and what will he do differently? Is it another traitor? Because in his first interview, he was like I saw a young man, inexperienced man. I see in him a man that was actually forced to take that chair, because I don't hear confidence in his voice. He don't seem to be somebody who have come with a plan. He seems to be someone who was selected by the military council to take that chair. He does not have a mind of his own. Is it a new Sankara we are seeing, or another puppet?
Well, I doubt this couldn't be the new Sankara because he lacks that charisma, he lacks the confidence, he lacks the ideology, and he lacks the absolute belief into himself. I think when I watch his speech and listen to when he was addressing the media, initially, honestly speaking, I thought that he could be like, because there are certain military people, when they take over, they may have their media, may somebody will come and address, and they will refuse to tell the populace who is their leader. Till some hours later, I thought that some concessions were being made so that they can definitely present the leader. A friend and I, we are watching the television. I said, I couldn't believe this is the leader. He told me, I said, I don't believe, because his confidence, because we are expecting a robust, determined, more proactive, maybe reactive, and focused leader to overthrow government. I think there should be something like that. So I think Ibrahim Traore, excuse me, he's just a relatively young person, the age of 34, born 1988, a captain. He has served some peacekeeping mission in the UN, and he also did some military training in Morocco. He came back into Burkina Faso. Maybe he does not have that strong military experience based age-wise compared to his other colleagues. And he had a dream, maybe very positive, but to me, most of what he's saying today have been tailored to him. And what did you say? There are key players within this coup, but maybe they thought of something. It could have been used like a sacrificial goat. Let's assume that we reached this particular coup. If we did not succeed, there must be somebody whom they will label the accusation on. And that person, the direct person, could have been like Traore. If this coup would have failed, maybe Traore could have been the dead man today. And all others who are key actors within the coup, they would have withdrawn themselves. So when you see, as long as he lacked that confidence, he lacked the focus, he was even bubbling, couldn't tell you anything straightforward. So there is a high possibility that Traore was not actually the main orchestrator of the coup d'etat that happened. Rather, he was being pushed, forced to accept something. And in the situation that particular coup had failed, he could have been a dead man. So there is something like that. So to me, but I don't think if he continues with such poor level of confidence, I doubt how long he may stay into power, because key factors really needed to stage coup into Burkina Faso.
Oh, Edward, the network, you froze there. Maybe you will just go out and come back in. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, so we are discussing Burkina Faso, the coup, who is Ibrahim Traore, the new military leader.
Maybe it would be
the new military leader of Burkina Faso. So Ibrahim Traore is a man, he is early 30s, and he's a head of an artillery unit of the Burkinabe army, young graduate, as a young officer, and inexperienced, but they say he's very shy but very smart, according to his colleagues. And he's now heading the entire country. His first interview with IRF was not really impressive. The question he was asked, what do you think you would do differently than the other regime? He said there will be no change. There will be no much change. He spoke like Samuel Kayondo in the 80s. There will be no much change. We will follow up. We might even have election much earlier than we thought. He spoke like a man who is panicking or is naive, and against any of these words you can use it. He does not have the confidence of Sankara and the charisma of Sankara, like my brother said. But let's hope. People believe that he is a shy man, but he's very smart and intelligent. He does his thing behind closed doors than in public, according to what we heard. But what Burkina Faso need right now is a leader who can rally the young people, a leader with a vision, a leader who is able to cut deal with the international community, is able to secure arms, mobilize the country, young people into the armed forces, boys and girls, and also make sure that they push terrorism out of the country, build educational facility, and then demobilize, how they call it, reintegrate those young people back into the system, give them education and skills to be able to bounce back and be rehabilitated and then re-enter into the society. Also, try as much as possible to make sure institutions are protected and return to democracy. These are things that its current military government in Burkina Faso needs to do and must do. But anybody who goes there and start playing politics or start acting that they don't know why they did the coup d'etat in the first place, it will be a joke. Traore is saying that he might not be a president, he might select a civilian to lead the transition. Well, if you don't want a military to lead, why did you do the coup d'etat? There was no need for you to do the coup d'etat if you don't have a plan. If you think civilians can do the job, then you should have left Robert Kabore to be in power. If you guys think you can do the job, that's why you did the coup. Do the job. You can't do the coup d'etat, then come back and say civilians will be able to run the transition. Why did you do the coup then? So it's confusing to me. I'm not very sure. I think the dream of Sankara would take a very long time to materialize in that country. Edward, that takes us to the second topic here that we're discussing today, Liberia. Government seized $100 million worth of cocaine and arrest 3. I'm confused. How this happened, I think you will give us some background. I think this is too much. A small country like Liberia, for this this amount to enter into the country. How did they enter? This is not coins that you put in your pocket. These things pass through seaport. They pass through border. So instead of just arresting and then burning and whatever they are trying to display on the camera, which I call nonsense, how did these packages enter into the country? What boats brought them? This is the questions for me that need to be answered. Who are the millionaires in the country that are doing this business? This is the question we need to answer. And also the display that I saw on video circulating in social media, on the floor, they put them together, they are trying to destroy them. I don't see that here in advanced country. I don't see them when they arrest people with cocaine. I don't see them piling those cocaine up in the open and trying to put fire. I don't know whether these things are drugs that a pharmaceutical company use them. I don't know whether they have other uses. They display that we see our government putting them out there, burning them. Is that the right thing to do? Tell me much about this, Edward. And who are those 3 people that were arrested?
Well, Tommy, the arrest of a Liberian, a Guinea-Bissawan, and a Lebanese in connection with the cocaine is a disappointment for Liberia, but definitely not a surprise. Having underscored that, let's see first, where is one of those people coming? We have the Guinea-Bissawan coming from a country whose president have been accused of being involved into cocaine deal. That is the president of Guinea-Bissau, Umaru Sissoco Embalo. Drugs cartel trying to take over the government of Guinea-Bissau just because Mr. President says he does not want to encourage cocaine deal. But others are claiming that it is because his cartel that used to lead the cocaine deal of Guinea-Bissau are no longer in control, and he's not willing to negotiate with the overthrow or the current cartel into Burkina Faso. So the result was that the cabinet
Oh, Edward, you froze there. You have to go back and come in. Yep, the network is not favoring you. You were trying to make a very important point. They are giving a background to the whole story. Folks, we are discussing Liberia. The Liberian government says seized a cocaine worth of $100 million, and 3 people were arrested in connection to this. So we are trying to get a better understanding. How did this package come into the country? How long have they been doing this? And how vulnerable are really our young people? Yeah, Edward, go ahead, please.
Yeah. By the minute, the president and his cabinet members, we are kept for sometime last year, we are kept for some hours. In fact, Guinea-Bissau had to call the military and other people just to fight against those drugs cartel. And the president over there is hugely associated. And Guinea-Bissau, the port of Guinea-Bissau is actually being used by South America or Latin America to transfer cocaine into other areas in Western Europe and even in some places in North America. Then you watch at Lebanon. A Lebanese who had been arrested. One knows Lebanon is a volatile country where you have Beirut is always under attack. by Hezbollah. And we see those countries where Lebanon is associated with, the like of Syria, Jordan, these are whatsoever. They are all volatile institutions, and they are well known of being into dubious activities. Then you see Liberia. Of course, you cannot successfully execute those things without having your own citizen, native players on ground. The Liberian who has definitely been involved in. So this thing, and one of them was actually arrested along the border of Sierra Leone and taken into Liberia. It's a sad disappointment, but I can confirm to you, based on personal speculation, that this is not the first nor second time. Maybe the poverty status of Liberia have enabled places like Guinea-Bissau, Lebanon, or even other countries, known or unknown, to be associating in Liberia with this type of cocaine deal. And most of the time, when cocaine deals like that come to light, there's a possibility that somebody play foul play, maybe on what share to take whatsoever thing, you can easily be prosecuted. But trust me, Kelly, this kind of long-time existing relationship, and even when you see the security forces, who knows? In fact, we are watching at a kind of a system that is polarized with different mentality, then poverty and whatsoever. And how much a Liberian national police is being paid? Maybe less than $100 a day. So are you really sure that the amount of cocaine being arrested are the one presented? No. This is not some of the things. No. They have a kind of well-solidified system. Recently ago, key top officers in the Liberian government, we are sacked for bribery, whatsoever thing. And Minister of Justice and whatsoever thing, somebody who is responsible to port. I think somebody said related to the NRA, this port affairs, was definitely arrested. Maybe the sacking of those three top officers, one that was related with NRA, something like port and whatsoever thing was part of them. Somebody who was the Chief Justice Minister was also sacked, another key top officer. So let me see, the sacking of those people are leading to a lot of revolution into Liberia. Key top officers were just sacked a few days ago who are playing key part in association with those things. Now we are seeing another revolution. We should just watch outside the box of this particular issue. I think and I feel that these key top officers, they had some issues to dealing with certain things that are associated. But now that they are no longer on affairs, those who are coming, they don't even know the real route to play. So these are some of the revolution that we are now getting. And nobody knows, as you rightly stated, how long this relationship has been standing. But this is a kind of dieting. And people, Liberia is already a radicalized, negatively radicalized society. And now poverty is thriving into Liberia. Cocaine deals and whatsoever. Yeah, even seeing politicians are amazing money, building mountain houses, having part-time accounts and whatsoever thing. Something is definitely wrong. I think and feel that certain investigation need to be mounted because there is no smoke without fire. These guys do not just live from Lebanon. If they do not have contact with your immigration officers, if they do not have contact with those who deal with the aviation ministry, when this investigation is led deeply, you will understand that something actually happened. There must be an interconnection between those key players. There are actors into Liberia who need to be arrested, but this is a very sad thing for Liberia. And even the security forces are hugely doubt if whether the cocaine being arrested was the one being revealed to the populace. Because it could be, just 3 days ago, Nigeria arrested over 500 tons of cocaine. And you watch at Liberia, they are saying another 3 or 4 tons. So this is very, very sad. Something is really wrong somewhere.
Definitely, I agree with you. You know, especially your perspective on the issue of those 3 government officials that were that resigned recently. You know, who knows, you know, how long this thing have been happening and how they've been covering it up. And because they left and the new guys in power that do not have the experience on how to, you know, make this deal to pass. So definitely this is where the loopholes came from, and then this is exposed. It is a very interesting theory, I would say. It's an interesting theory that people need to look into. This thing might be happening a very long time. That's why maybe our government officials get rich overnight. We don't know how they get rich. Maybe because they are engaged in this kind of corruption. Because by allowing this thing to pass through your country, you make a lot of money, and that's how these guys become rich. So it's very, very serious. And I know if you dig this again deeper, you find out that government officials are involved. You don't bring $100 million worth of cocaine in a country if you don't have connection into the government. It's not going to happen. There is no way you can succeed if you don't have contact in the government. So our government is corrupt, and we are worried. We are very, very worried that these kind of things are happening in our country. That takes us to the third important thing here, and then we'll talk on this quickly and go for a break. Ukraine foreign minister begin Africa tour in Senegal. What are the implications? Now, Ukraine again. So Edward, tell us about this. What does he want? They say Africa is pro-Russia. Well, I don't know. But what does Ukraine, we never hear anything about Ukraine and Africa relationship except in areas of Africans going there to study. I think few countries like Nigeria and others have some kind of a relationship with Ukraine where Africans go there for studies in their university. So we didn't have any of those kind of strong connection or business tie like that. Why does Ukraine want to bring Africa into this conflict? Just this morning, I was reading that the richest man in the world, Elon Musk, he posted on his Twitter account that Ukraine should try to save the world from nuclear catastrophe. They should just give those territory to Russia, negotiate, and then maybe they can do referendum later to see whether those people really want to leave and join Russia. They should tell United Nations to organize a free and fair referendum. If those people vote in majority that they want to join Russia, Ukraine should, try to leave those territory in the hand of Russia and broke peace. If they continue with it, they will drag the entire war into a nuclear apocalypse, and everybody will pay for it. I think they attack Elon Musk, all of the president and Zelensky attack Elon Musk. Elon Musk has spent nearly $100 million since their war started trying to help them. Okay, but he now come out to say that they attack him. So what does this foreign minister want in Africa? What kind of diplomatic game he wants to play, and what do you think Africans are going to say to him?
Yeah, let me just bring certain things into play very briefly because let's see common example. When Azerbaijan was fighting Armenia over Nagorno-Karabakh, and because the president of Armenia realized that Azerbaijan had been supported by Turkey, and Russia was not willing to come on the side of Armenia, although those in Nagorno-Karabakh, Armenians by ethnic, and they are non-Muslims by religion. Russia decided, before this time, Russia used to support Armenia against Azerbaijan in favor of Nagorno-Karabakh. Unfortunately, because of this thing, the president of Armenia withdrew, maybe apologized, and they exchanged army, the war ended. Nothing was actually escalated. I think that man brain was definitely not a holiday. He never followed the Western mentality to wage war. I think Zelensky brain sometime, I don't know, I'm not actually in favor of what Vladimir Putin is doing into Russia, but watching at Zelensky's mentality, sometimes I think that is this man brain on holiday? Let us realize who to take on and how to save your country. Having underscored that, you cannot fatten your cow on the eve of the market day. I think it's only now that most Africans are actually realizing that Ukraine was a key player into the world fuel or electricity in time of, or let me just say in time of power source. Ukraine was a key player. It is only now Africans are realizing that Ukraine was a key player in time of food. Unfortunately, Ukraine have been relatively selfish, and they had no personal connection with Africa. And Ukraine have been amazing world, maybe selling greens and all that thing, whatsoever thing from Russia. Now they are facing situation. What do they want? They want the sympathy of Africa. And Russia, with all her mentality, one or two ways, she has been benefiting some African countries, unlike Ukraine. So that is why you have seen most African leaders prefer to be neutral. Maybe they do not want to anger the Western powers who are pro-Ukraine, then anti-Russia. But they really know that prior to this time, Ukraine has not benefited them anything. Somebody leave here to go and study into Ukraine. For goodness sake, for crying out loud, it is the institution that you are paying. Russia, in one or two ways, we have students, doctors, whosoever graduated in Russia. But you have Russia supporting African countries, even challenging the West to ensure that they are also they maintain their own superpower. So Putin mentality can be easily be bought by Africans, can be bought over by Africans, unlike Zelensky mentality. Because Zelensky and his foreign minister are only trying to enforce relationship on Africa because of their current situation. Had it not been this situation, none of them would have cared about what Africa had. So they realized that although Russia is creating huge havoc on Ukraine, yet most Africans are sympathetic with the Russian mentality, because before this time, they have been benefiting from Russia instead of Ukraine. And Africa or whatsoever thing, they believe in diplomacy, maybe we're talking about alliance. And if most African countries have been in allied force with Russia, and in the situation Russia take upon them, you will expect them to remain neutral because they do not want to anger the West, neither do they want to go against the Russian mentality. But he shouldn't expect that just because the Western world is going against Russia, then Africa as a whole should also go against Africa. It is a dream that is definitely difficult to establish because Ukraine had no good, formidable relationship with Africa prior to Russia attacking our soil.
Definitely, I agree with you. You know, in terms of history, in fact, Russia had a long history of supporting African revolution. People forget that. You know, in Angola, the Soviet Union helped in Congo. In fact, Patrice Lumumba, one of the reasons he was killed because he sought alliance with the Soviet Union. And Russia has always backed African revolution. Most of the socialists in Africa were even Sankara was all connected to Russia. So people are saying that the Russian dictatorship, Africa might borrow it. Well, you have to understand that if you are at war, the people who are promoting democracy and freedom, so-called, is the Western world, and this Western world is the one exploiting us. So it's a great dilemma for us to be claiming that we want freedom and democracy of the West, and the same West is the one exploiting us, destroying frustrating our freedom, supporting dictators in our country, changing regimes, exploiting our economy, doing monopoly, make sure that we don't industrialize and support our corrupt leaders, and then they don't support them when they don't have to, kind of playing double game anytime it suits them. So we cannot be able to stay in that partnership with the West. In order to balance it, we will need Russia. Not because we love Russia, not because Russians are good, but because when it comes to the jungle, the foreign policy or how geopolitics is played, you always need to keep your opponents in check. So when you have an opponent, their enemy, bring their enemy a little bit closer, then you put them in check. You try to make them to work hard at night. See, you don't just get up and say, we love the West and we don't want any other people. Then the West will eat you up as a lion eat an antelope. But when you have China and Russia and tell the West, look, if you mess up, here is China and Russia. We have a diplomatic relationship with them. We can change camp. So when the West knows that they are in competition, then they are likely to make concessions to you. When the West know that they are not the only one in your market, then they are likely to make concessions to you. This is how diplomacy is war. You see, it's a gangster game that people play. So when you hear diplomacy, it's not like people go to hotel and eat pizza and drink wine and just sign paper. No, it's a war and a game. It's a chess play. You have to be smart. So I think African having Russia very close at this time, this second Cold War we are in, it has advantage, a lot of advantage, because the Western world does not want to see Africa develop. That's not their goal. That's not their dream today. That's not their dream tomorrow. And Russia, it's not that Russia loves Africa. Russia is also playing game because Russia tried to show that they have influence outside of Europe. So by connecting with Africa, they try to win African vote in the United Nations. They try to get the African support in the United Nations. That's why they do what they do. So we too have to know what advantage we're going to get by supporting Russia. But these Africans who have become puritanical and moral police, oh, Russia attacked Ukraine, so we got to support Ukraine. No country has to support another. You better shut up. When Israel attacking Palestine day and night, did that stop European country from having ties with Israel? It's none of your business. This is a jungle where a lion eat antelope. That has to happen. You find what will benefit you in that diplomatic war. That's what you need to find. You are not there to cry for Ukraine or have sympathy for Ukraine. That's not the responsibility of Africa. America has all it takes to protect Ukraine. Europeans have they have the economy to support Ukraine, not Africa. So we are not there to cry for Ukraine or try to cast vote to support Ukraine. God damn it. What vote in history do we have from Ukraine to support any African country? None. Russia, on the other hand, has dispersed ammunition, have sent people on the soil to defend African independence during the early days of independence. And Russians were in the field. So we will maintain that diplomatic relationship with Russia. To hell with Ukraine. We will only play a game with Ukraine and see where we can get some benefit. But Africa needs to be smart in this century. Smart, not to play emotional game. We need Chinese on the table. We need Europeans on the table. We need America on the table. We need Russia on the table. We are not removing anybody from the table. America will not intimidate us into removing anybody from the table because we need technology. We need industrialization. We need military technology. We need all these things. And we cannot get them from the West because the West is playing a game of obscurity. They do not want to enlighten Africa. They want you to be in darkness. And the only way we can force them to give us some technology is by playing this double game with them. Tell them, if you don't come tomorrow, the Chinese are here. If you play fun with us, we will give the contract to the Russians. That's how you play a gangster game with gangster people. That's my take on that, Edward.
That is a perfect one. I think all Africa have a very standard relationship with Russia, unlike Ukraine. So if Ukraine want to establish a relationship with Africa, then let us first settle our affairs home. Then when the world is stable, maybe they can have a formal foreign relationship. And this goes to any other country that may think that in a situation of confrontation, Africa can be used as a naive ground to gain popular support. They said, in fact, thank God, and I don't believe in Africa leaders on several things, but their neutrality, or most of them who have taken a stand of neutrality on the issue of Ukraine, are definitely sympathize with their mentality, and nobody should force them to disagree with their common own mentality. So whatever thing Africans are doing, let them stand by their own principle, and no foreign leader or Ukraine foreign ministers to come and enforce them to change their decision. It is high time Africans think the African way and they deal with African issues on African perspective.
Yeah, thank you very much. We'll take a short break, folks, and when we come back, we will be discussing Mali. Please don't go away.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
Welcome back, and thank you for watching Focus on Liberia. This is Roundtable Africa with I'm Sekou Keller, your host, and I'm here with my co-host Edward Amara, and we are discussing news that make headlines across the continent of Africa. We've already discussed here on the headline, start with the first one, Burkina Faso coup. Who is the new leader, Ibrahim Traore? We've discussed that, and Liberia sees 100 million worth of cocaine and arrest 3. We've also looked at Ukraine foreign minister begin Africa tour in Senegal. What are the implications? Now, this is the last but not the least we have to discuss right now. The Malian prime minister lashed out at France, UN, and ECOWAS at the 77th session of UN General Assembly. Edward, this speech made headlines across the continent, and even in Europe, many France 24 and other radio stations discuss it. There are 3 things. In the West, they are saying that the speech was arrogant. They said the speech was insulting, and the speech was very unnecessary. In Africa, the mainstream media is saying that it was too aggressive, it was emotional, and it was unnecessary. But when we go to the Pan-African media, they said the speech was one of the best speeches of the century. It reflects the speech of Muammar Gaddafi. It reflects the speech of Nkrumah. It reflects the speech of the late leader of Cuba and all these people, yes. So what did he say? What did Prime Minister Maïga say? In summary, Maïga made 3 points. He said the United Nations mission in Mali, called the MINUSMA in the French kind of abbreviation. The mission is called MINUSMA. For all the countries that United Nations brought together to fight terrorism since 2013, in 2012, 2013, they said the mission has failed. The United Nations group have not been able to secure Mali, and Mali continues to be attacked by terrorists. Second thing, they said that the France Operation Barkhane was unfortunately stabbed Mali in the back by collaborating with the terrorists, and also they left the country unconventionally without having a proper agreement. They broke all the treaty they had with Mali, and they did it unconventionally, so they were stabbed at the back by Mali. He continued to also say that the 49 Ivorian soldiers that were held in Mali were mercenaries, and they are not members of the armed forces sent to protect Mali. Rather, they were mercenaries sent to destabilize Mali. And the UN is in complice together with Alassane Ouattara and ECOWAS. They are all collaborating to destabilize his country. He went ahead and attacked Ouattara purposely, being somebody who have changed the constitution in his country and then become a president of a third term, trying to advise Mali to go for constitutional democracy. While he said, even in your country, you don't even protect your constitution. He also attacked the Niger president, Bazoum. He attacked the current president of ECOWAS, Sissoko, president of Guinea-Bissau, for also interfering in the judicial matter of their country. So one of the important things he said in his speech is about France. It's a France foreign policy in Africa. It betrayed what he called the philosophy of La Lumière, that was the European philosophy of following scientific method to deal with things based on truth, based on logic, based on reasoning. They have abandoned logic, they have abandoned reasoning, and they have become what he called juntas and bandits who are now trying to exploit Africa as gangsters. No longer civilized nations that follow the philosophy of truth, the philosophy of development, and the philosophy of human development. So what do you make of this speech? Was it speaking the mind of African people, or was it just trying to be reactionary?
Well, I saw a predetermined speech. A man confident and who actually went to maybe watch at the world powers and tell them the brutal truth. You know, the truth is definitely not something that one can be told and stand in a comfortable position, especially when you know that you are on the wrong side. He was just being brutal and he spoke the dangerous truth to those guys. Let's come to see about some of the key things that is mentioned. He's perfectly right. Mali is a sovereign state. What happened between Mali and Ivory Coast, as long as it has not been taken to the UN, shouldn't be the UN affairs. Antonio Guterres is definitely not head of state. He's just head of international countries that come together to form. He's just a head of an international organization. And he's not the head of state. So he doesn't have right to tell a sitting head of state to do what he should do and what he shouldn't do. And he told us something about Qatar. Everybody knows how precarious Qatar position is. Having knowing what has gone into Mali, what has gone into Burkina Faso, what has gone into Guinea. And it was the same crime that his colleagues committed. They were ousted. And it's the same plan that he has committed. So he's afraid of being ousted. So it is not a surprise if Qatar decides to support mercenaries against the sitting Malian government, maybe to come with somebody who will be pro-Qatar, that he shouldn't support any overthrow. He is now a little bit afraid because all the crimes that the colleagues committed, those are already, they are now, in fact, their names cannot be mentioned on the throne of Guinea because there is no dream of them coming back. Then you watch at something like this. Look at ECOWAS. It's a failed government. It's a failed international organization. They back but they do not bite. And they want to impose certain things. What positive contribution has ECOWAS got on solving African issues? In fact, they are exacerbating the situation. And look, I worked at France. France situation, any country where France peacekeepers have been there, have this problem been solved? No, look at Sierra, Central African Republic. What is happening between the anti-Balaka and Christian Balaka? Look at what is happening today. In fact, Francois Bozizi, who is a former leader, is still creating problem over there. France president in Chad is not helping the situation. Her presence into Mali deteriorated situation in Mali. Her presence into Burkina Faso sent everything uphill. If France had been constantly supporting Guinea, by this time, Guinea could have been into armed rebellion. So the man was just dangerous. You know the Western world, they hate somebody. It is all about Patrice Lumumba, what he told on the speech on Independence Day. So when they are very brutal with these people, they want you arrogant, unthoughtful. They want to. I think if we have leaders like that who can go on international organizations to on panel like that, they shouldn't just go to sympathize with what the West is going to put before them. Rather, they have to empathize with their own people. Then they should be apologists of their own system instead of sympathizing with the Western mentality. So he was so brutal. He spoke the truth, and whatsoever thing he said. In fact, I was definitely moved with the speech because this is what we are expecting from African leaders, to watch at these so-called Western powers, watch at them into the face, and tell them exactly their failure to hands up on African issues. But unfortunately, we're having leaders who will definitely go there because their secure bank account are into the Western countries. So you do not expect Qatar to go and tell UN that hands off Africa's issue, hands off this issue, because if he knows that they will definitely sanction him and take away most of the safeguards that he has accumulated into a sovereign account in places like France. These are some of the things. I definitely, because we are out of time, but I really admire, enjoy, and sympathize with Mali Prime Minister's speech on the UN. I think we need to have leaders like that.
All right. Thank you very much, Edward Amara. Your closing statement.
My closing statement is this, especially on Liberia. Honestly speaking, Kelly, I am a bit afraid because I know when those 3 key government ministers were sacked, these are some of the repercussions. Right. And we should also understand that it was US who revealed those corrupt politicians, right, and banned them or sanctioned them never to go into the US. And it was based on that upon we are retaliated by asking them to resign. And few days later, they submitted their resignation. And it is same this US that formed partnership with the Liberian National Police and other immigration officers that led to the arrest of this Guinea-Bissawian a Burkina, a Liberian, and a Lebanese. Yeah, right. in all the cocaine traffickers. So there is a high possibility that Liberians, most of their government officials, are running crime syndicate that is enriching them overnight. I think careful explication or research need to be done on the background of those officers, and if there is anything wrong, they should definitely be exposed, or else Liberia will end up being used as a zone cartel. And Guinea-Bissau, who was found over there, Guinea-Bissau is already been designated as a cocaine trafficking country to Europe and other Western countries. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Edward Amara. Definitely, I agree with you. Liberia needs to double up. They need to do more. This is alarming. This is considered victory, for what they are saying, but definitely they need to do more. It means there's a lot to talk about, and we pray that our government will be able to follow up these things, because Liberia to be arresting cocaine worth of 100 million, that's alarming. And we really pray that these things will be resolved. I want to read a speech here from somebody and see whether this might worth responding to. So he said, "Look, guys, the love or sympathy for military coup in West Africa is disgraceful, because the military man is a military man. If you think a military man is going to give you freedom of speech, freedom of the press, or free and fair democracy, then you are daydreaming." Now, Joseph Konyani Paul, I don't think we endorsed, I don't know, probably you are not referring to us, I don't know, but you said, "Look, guys, we are not endorsing military coup, and we do not say military coup leads to any kind of development. We are only trying to criticize what the military themselves are doing and what their philosophies are. Because believe it or not, our democratic leaders as well have killed more people than we expect. We talk of freedom of speech. The people of Ivory Coast do not have freedom of speech. There is no military government in power. You are not allowed to criticize Alassane Ouattara in Ivory Coast. You go to jail. Alassane Ouattara government is full of people from his clan. If you are not a person from his tribe or his ethnic group from the northern part of Ivory Coast, you are likely not to have position in government. It was the same when the other guy was in power, Henri Konan Bédié. Bédié was only appointing people from the Baoulé tribe from central Ivory Coast. Now this guy from the north, Ouattara, is also appointing people from his religion and from his tribe into power. Is that the democracy that you fought for? You see, is that the democracy that we fought for? It's not. In Nigeria, when you make a speech against Buhari, his tribe are carrying cows all over and destroying Nigeria. Some of them have become Islamic terrorists all over the country, and he's refusing to prosecute them. In fact, when they arrest the terrorists, he forgave them and called them that they have to be rehabilitated into the army. Terrorists. Is that the democracy that you fought for? That couldn't have been done. So when you look at it in both ways, we are not enjoying any democracy. The system is rotten. Just because you have the ritual called election, does not mean you have democracy. Democracy is when the power actually belongs to the people and there is transparency and leaders are held accountable. That's when it's become a democracy. But when leaders become king, even in Liberia, you call that democracy when your president is controlling the three arms of government. When George Weah is literally a king, that's not democracy. Maybe because you think it's easy, you can insult Weah on the TV and nothing happens. So for you, that's development. That's not development. The institution, are they working? Can you have justice in Liberia? If something happened to you as a poor person, are you assured you will get justice? That's what democracy is. Edward Amara, you can comment on this.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think I just want to comment on something. Somebody said, "Look, guys, I said during the time that Russia was supporting African liberation, Ukraine was definitely part of Russia." I somehow agreed. However, Ukraine also became independent maybe sometime in the early 90s or something like that in the early 90s. And since then, what has Ukraine done to solidify her relationship with Russia? We are talking about time that Ukraine became independent. and she failed to solidify her relationship with Africa. And since then, Africa had not benefited anything significant from Ukraine. And we are watching, when we talk about foreign policies, we watch at alliance and what countries stand to benefit if you continue yoking your relationship with one or two countries. Before this time, Russia have been benefiting Africa in one or two ways. So you don't expect African countries to just sit down overnight and sympathize with the Ukrainian mentality just because Russia has attacked them. When nations are seeking progress, when nations are seeking alliance, it is because they know that one day situation or relationship may get sour and they may need their colleagues or their countries around them to support them. So I am afraid that is my own comment. And above all, maybe some of our colleagues do not know what they interpret democracy. I think democracy means development of state. That's why they say democracy is a government by the people, for the people, and of the people. So when you watch a situation like this, as long as these things are not operating, that government is definitely not for you. We are not only talking about, you cannot just go on, as you rightly stated, just go on television. In fact, you cannot go on television to call George Weah all names insulting him. I will take that the start of democracy. No, you are just trying to abuse your freedom of speech. Use your freedom of speech in such a way that can reconstruct the system of Liberia. But going on television to watch George Weah as a person and start to call him all sorts of names, that is definitely not helping the situation of Liberia. It is not helping the situation of Africa. In fact, you are teaching our kids, our pupils, bad lesson that they shouldn't support, because it is not when your leader does something wrong. That is why we have legal institution court to just stand and call in name, maybe use source of profanity. That is definitely not what we want. To use our freedom of speech to reconstruct, re-socialize the system that Africans or our brothers and sisters may be able to fit in. But maybe we'll find another time to discuss topics that may be related to our countries and see what type of democracy are we preaching. Is democracy by profanity, democracy seeking to reconstruct the system so that at least when leaders come, they should meet a really organized system where they will inherit certain things, that if I came and bought this table in the office, when I'm leaving, somebody else should come and buy this chair. But I shouldn't just leave the office the way I meet it. Some African leaders are even getting the system rottier than the way they meet it.
Yeah, so another comment here says Mali Empire children, Bambara, Fula, Malinke, Soninke are the true rulers of West Africa today. We need to rebuild our ancestral home by uniting against the Tuareg invaders. Okay, now, here's the problem. This person is trying to quote history, right? I don't disagree with the names you mentioned there, but it's more than that. I think there were other empires in Africa where there were the Benin, there were the Yoruba. So we are a lot. So it's not just Bambara and Fula and Malinke. They are the Soninke built the Ouagadougou Empire. They were not alone. There were other ethnic groups. Every ethnic group in West Africa participated in this empire in one way or the other. But just one language dominated. Now, let's deal with the issue of these Tuaregs. You see, history repeats itself. And we continue to tell the people of Africa that as long as you hold on to European ideology and the Arab ideology, you will continue to suffer. If Islam is a religion, a universal religion, Africans who have become Muslim need to Africanize Islam and remove their solidarity from Arabs. That's the only way they will be profitable to Black people. But if they continue to practice the Islam that came from Saudi Arabia and they align themselves with the Arabs, they will become traitors to themselves and traitors to the continent. That's what you see playing out in Mali. The people in the northern part of Mali, the Tuaregs, are Muslims, and the Bambara and other people thought they were their brothers. So they slept on them thinking that they are one people. But the Tuaregs continue to hate the Bambara and the other people because of their dark skin. So the war you have in Mali, they don't want to tell you the reality, is the war of racism. The Tuareg believe that they cannot be ruled by Black people, that the matter you become Muslim, you are not Muslim enough. You are not good enough to rule them because you are a Kafiri Black person. And the African Muslim does not want to acknowledge the fact that he is hated by the Arabs and the Tuaregs. So the Arab and the Tuaregs reject the Black Muslim and they want to build their own country that they did in Mauritania and enslave the black people in Mauritania, as they did in Sudan and they enslaved the black people in Sudan. That's the same thing they want to do in Mali. So the war in Mali is not about terrorists. It's about a racial war. The Arab children who are mixed with black or the Tuareg do not want to be ruled by your black asses in Mali. Yeah, I'm sorry for my language, but that's what is happening. And you must say the truth to the people. It is a racial war. Now you are calling on all of us. You are calling on all other Africans to come and join you to fight the Tuaregs. If all the Africans who are practicing traditional religion, who are practicing Christianity, if all of them come together and join you in the name of Pan-Africanism to fight the Tuaregs, if the Tuareg go away tomorrow, are you going to join the Arabs and call those African Kafiri and reject them and call them your enemy? And when they come to marry a daughter, you will reject them because they are not, they don't look like, they are not practicing the same religion with you. This is where you betray yourself, African Muslim. Because the Arab don't want you. The Tuareg don't want you. Then we that want, we that are part of you, the entire black race, you cause discrimination because of your religion. And your religion now cannot save you because the Arab want to enslave you. He does not see you as his brother. That's what is playing out in Mali. That's what is playing out in Sudan. If they don't want to tell you, that's the truth. The Tuareg are light-skinned people who are more related to Arabs than Africans. Their ancestors fought people, Mali Empire. If you hear the war between Soni Ali Bear and the Tuaregs, it's not today. It has been a long time war. They never wanted black people to rule over them. Whether the black person know Quran or not, they don't care. One of the greatest Islamic scholars in Timbuktu, his name was Ahmadou Baba, Sheikh Ahmadou Baba. Sheikh Ahmadou Baba was captured and enslaved in Morocco. Despite he was the greatest Islamic scholar of that time, the Arab did not acknowledge his Islamic scholarship. They enslaved him and took him to Morocco by the Almoravid forces. In Timbuktu, the Tuaregs and the Arabs joined forces and attacked the Africans in their mosques, sodomized them and raped their women on for Friday. You can find this story in Pre-Colonial Black Africa by Sheikh Anta Diop. You know the history of these people. They will betray you guys. And now Mali is in trouble. When they're done with Mali, they are done with Burkina Faso. They will come after Senegal. The Arabs and the Tuareg will enslave you black Muslims. And I'm telling you the truth, there is no escape route for you. Keep sleeping and think that the other black people are your enemy and be thinking that the Kafiri black people are your enemy. No, your enemy is the Arab. Your enemy is the Tuareg, and they're coming for you guys. And when they come for you, you have nowhere to hide but the Pan-Africanists. Nobody will save you but with the Pan-Africanists who are Kafiri, the Pan-Africanists who don't believe, the Pan-Africanists who believe in just the African culture. They are the ones who will come together and rescue you in Mali. And that's what is happening now. Guess who is mobilizing people in Mali? Kemi Seba from Benin and other places. They are the ones gathering forces for Mali, to gathering young people to go to Mali to go and fight. Where are the black Muslims? They are nowhere to be found. Who is fighting them? It's their brother, their spiritual brothers from the Arab war. So when you guys, we keep telling you that the religion of Christianity and Islam is ideologically is a betrayal to the black race. Because anyone into those spiritual organizations, you cannot play allegiance to the black struggle because your allegiance is divided and you cannot fight the African struggle. This is what we see in Mali. The Malians know the truth. They keep coming on terrorists, terrorists. No, go listen to the leader of Azawad, the people of Azawad Republic, those who want to create that nation. They said they cannot be ruled by black-skinned Africans. They don't care that you become Muslim. They don't care that you are converted. You change your name to Abdullah. You change your name to Al-Hajji and Muhammad. They don't care. They continue to see you as a Negro from West Africa, and they don't want you to rule over them. That is the struggle. That is the struggle. If you guys don't see that struggle, you will be enslaved in Mali. Let the French pull out. Let Assimi Goïta do his best and lead. If Pan-Africanists don't align themselves to fight for Mali, Mali will fall. And if Mali fall, Burkina Faso will fall, Senegal will fall, and all of you hiding yourself in the forest there in Liberia, they will come for you. So that's why we are telling you guys, Pan-Africanism remains the last philosophy to rally our people and demand for our freedom. We have nothing in common with these guys in the north. We have nothing in common. If you want to be, we are not denying anybody to practice religion. Be a Muslim, no problem. Be Christian. But your Islam must be Africanized. And it must be disconnected with the Arabs. You cannot be solidarity with these people and continue to be our brother, because you will betray us. If Mali war is over tomorrow, are you going to betray the other black? That's the question. If the Malian war is won tomorrow, the other black who will come to Mali from other African tribes to settle there, when they want your daughter in marriage, will you give to them? That's the question you cannot answer. So you have sold yourself into slavery, and the Arabs are coming for you. They have done with Sudan, the Sudanese black people. You know why South Sudan broke away and decided to have its own country? Because the Arabs were saying that if you don't speak Arabic in Sudan, they will beat your kids in school. They were punishing people for African names. They were beating people for calling themselves non-Muslim. And that's why John Garang fought the war and decided to remove South Sudan from Sudan. And they decided to practice Christianity. And that doesn't mean that Christianity will save them either. Christianity will not save them. It is the African Revolution that will save them. The other Sudanese who are left in the Nuba Mountain, who are still black, they continue to suffer from Arabs and the Arab mixed children. They continue to be persecuted. In Mauritania, the great Soninke people who ruled Ouagadougou Empire for centuries, they are now slaves under the Arabs, the Tuareg and the Mauritania-dominated Islamic Republic of Mauritania. This is what is going to happen to Mali. It's going to happen broad daylight before your eyes. If these Malians do not go back to their ancestral power and could unite themselves on the African philosophy, they will be defeated, because they are using religion. And it's easy for them to get allies among you and sympathizers among you, because they are using the religion that you believe in, so they can deal with you anytime, because your own children will sell you out. So that's the problem, folks. That's the war in Mali. It is a war of betrayal. It is a war of race. It's a war that religion has betrayed the black man. And the black man will be sold into slavery until he gave up the Arab and the European religion. So with that, I close and I say thank you for watching Roundtable Africa. We're done here.
We are Liberia. Liberia is our home. Liberia people. Our
DJ House of Pain. Yes, I like this one. Him alright is him